Hello there. My name is Moy with my co-host Corey. We are The Real Guys, and this is The Real Show with 2 E's. Today we are following on from last week's episode in a kind of roundabout way, because if you can remember, dear listener or dear viewer, if you're watching our video version on YouTube, or maybe you're listening on one of our podcast sites like Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, wherever you choose to listen to us, or maybe you're listening to us on the radio for our radio program, The Real Show, Real 2 E's L Show. To follow on, this is kind of like a segue. I suppose you could call it a segue. Would you call it a segue?
Yes, we're one fit to call it.
Yep. We're continuing
Yes.
from last week, because last week we were covering the LEGO Star Wars Summer Vacation Special. And in that, I don't know whether in the actual episode itself or maybe one of our conversations before or after the recording of the episode, I mentioned something from Solo, A Star Wars Story 2018.
Yes.
And your response was, Corey, that you have never
Seen it.
Never seen it. There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Yes.
So I said to you, Corey, what did I say?
Well, you said I should watch Solo. We should
Yeah,
talk
so
about Solo.
We should talk about Solo. We should make Solo an episode.
Yes.
And so we're here. We've covered Rogue One, haven't we? We gave
Correct.
Rogue One a 10 reels.
Yes.
A fantastic 10 count 'em reels, which is revolutionary for this show, because we don't often give something a 10. It takes a lot for us to give something a 10, doesn't it, Corey?
Yes.
But Rogue One did earn a 10
It did.
reels. I don't think Solo will get that high today, but we'll give it a review.
Okay.
However, we will push on and we'll give it a review. So, did you look into Solo at all before you got the film up on Disney Plus and gave it a watch?
So, I didn't look anything up.
Mm-hmm.
But bearing in mind, I've heard a lot about this film.
Right.
Over the years, I'd heard talk about this film, mostly not good,
Mm-hmm.
admittedly, mostly negative. I also, in 2018, possibly,
The year this film came out.
yes, went to a film festival
Right.
in York for college,
Okay.
and college was like, right, you need to go to this talk. It's a guy in the industry who's going to give you a talk about film.
Okay.
So we went, and it was a guy who worked on the CGI for Solo.
Right.
And so he broke down the whole like train scene and how it worked with
Okay,
CGI and all the models and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
So I know that. I can tell you about the train scene.
Excellent. You can talk about the train chase on Vandor.
So other than that, all I've heard is negative.
Okay, and you've watched the film yourself.
I've seen it now.
You've seen it now in full.
Yes.
Let's cover it. We start on Corellia.
Yes.
And we start with Han Solo himself, or just Han or Han.
Han.
It's good. They mess with pronunciations a lot in
Yeah.
this film, and it's almost done for jokes at times. Because they say, I think it's in Empire Strikes Back, where Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian, keeps saying Han.
Yes.
And then he says, oh, it's Han.
Yeah.
You know. Or did he say Han and is it pronounced Han?
You're asking the wrong person, man.
Okay. Okay.
I can't tell you what's said in Empire Strikes Back. I don't know.
But Lando basically pronounced it the way he does it in this
Yes.
film, which is a nice bit of continuity there. That Lando always pronounces it wrong,
Yep.
or not the right way. But we have Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, and we have Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, who is a standout in this film.
Yeah.
He's really putting in his all to be Lando. He wants to be Lando now. You know, he still wants to play that part, which is great.
It is. I doubt we'll see it, but you
I
never
doubt.
know.
Yeah, I don't think Solo 2 will end up happening.
No, I also don't think we'll go back to a point where someone else walks into Lando Calrissian.
No. And sometimes maybe it's Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
He still does the Lego specials.
It does.
There's that. He still does the Lego specials. Han is jumping speeders on Corellia
Yep.
and racing away from gangs. He works for the White Worm gang on Corellia, which is a gang of thieves and
Yeah.
smugglers and such, under the command of Lady Proxima, who is voiced by Linda Hunt, if you're aware of a famous character actress, Linda Hunt.
Yep.
She voices Lady Proxima, who's a giant worm. That's a Dune reference, I think.
Yeah.
Did you see her effect, the model for her and the sort of worm face and all of that?
Well, I was going to say watching this, or I've just seen it in general.
No. If you're watching this, what did you think?
Again, when it comes to, it mentions all the time in Star Wars.
Right. The creatures.
Yes, exactly. Visually, the creatures or animals or whatever on planets in different places are always great in Star Wars.
Yes.
atmospherically. Better if it's an actual, prop or practical thing. But
Because do you know what? The species of Lady Proxima is?
No.
It's a Grindelid.
Okay.
She's a Grindelid from Perseus, which is an expansion region planet.
I was going to try to make up a name, but I couldn't think of anything.
In the expansion regions, which has such a dense atmosphere that it blocks out sunlight. So that's why she has to be in the water and in the dark all the time.
Yeah.
She's got photosensitive skin. So. And Lady Proxima was in charge of the White Worm gang, as well as a male. Only female Grindelids look like the massive worms. Male Grindelids, which is Moloch, the guy in the armour, that's what he looks like.
Of course.
So he's not a worm, he's just a dinosaur man.
Yeah.
So. And they grab Han and take him to Lady Proxima, and Han meets his girlfriend Kira, who wants to save from the gang of thieves they're a part of.
Yes.
So he breaks them out by getting a rock, and I do like the fact that Lady Proxima is like, "You'll never get away, Han Solo." It's like, "Yeah, I've got this thermal detonator. Watch out!" And he goes, "That's a rock," which I thought was quite. I think I laughed in the cinema when I saw that. He goes, "You just made a clicking noise with your mouth." And he goes, "Then I'm going to throw it," and he throws the rock at the window, and it breaks window, and the light comes on, and she's burning, and she jumps into the water, and then they escape from Moloch, and they head to
Correct.
They head to Coronet City on Corellia, which is from Legends, which is nice.
There you go.
It's kind of nice that. And they have to get to the toll gate to get out to the galaxy.
Yeah.
But then Kira gets snatched away by the bad guys, by Moloch and a gang. Then he's separated by the stormtroopers, who are because it's the mid-time of the Empire. It's the time of the rise of the Empire here. So Han has to watch where he's stepping. It's 10 BBY.
Great.
Well, I think the prologue is actually set in 13 BBY, so that's before Battle of Yavin.
Yes.
And 10 BBY is 10 years before the Battle of Yavin. It makes Battle of Yavin the sort of focal point of the canon.
Yeah.
And as they say in the prologue, it's a lawless time. Crime syndicates compete for resources, and one of those crime syndicates is Crimson Dawn, Corey.
Thank you.
Crimson Dawn. I was waiting for you to name them and you didn't.
No.
Crimson Dawn, led by who? What's his name? What's his name? Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Dryden Voss. He is the head of Crimson Dawn, and it's Paul Bettany. Plays our villain. He's got the cool outfit. He's got the cool black outfit with a cool cape and those knuckle duster knives. The turn red laser. Did you see them?
Yeah.
He's got the knuckle duster knives that he uses, double-bladed knives. He swings them around. But first, Han has to escape from the stormtroopers, so he goes to the Imperial Recruitment Center, where we see a video playing of 2 Star Destroyers and a Cantwell-class Arrester cruiser flying through the space. And the music that's playing is actually the Imperial March in minor key.
Oh.
So, if you didn't listen to that...
Very nice.
He goes to the recruitment officer. Do you know what his name is?
Nope.
His name's Drord Munbrin.
Thank you. You expect me to remember that.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Everyone's got a name. That's why I'm just going to tell you what everyone's name is. His name's Drord Munbrin, and he gives Han Solo his solo name. And I remember freaking out in the cinema when I heard that. Not happy. I was mad.
No one was.
I was like, what? That's not how he gets his name. Some random officer goes, Han, well, you got nobody. I'm going to call you Han Nobody. There you go. Have a good job. Han Nobody. Han by himself. Han got no friendos. That's what your new name is, son. He gives him the name Han Solo and lets him go.
Yeah.
He approves Han's application and tells him to go to the transport to the Fight Academy on Corida.
Yeah.
And that's when you get a deleted scene of Han crashing his TIE fighter into this hangar on a Cantwell cruiser and destroying his old fighter squadron by chasing these headhunters. Then he gets put before a tribunal, and they say that he's unfit to fly, and they send him to Mimban, and then they just cut to Mimban, cut to him flying again.
Yeah.
Because the joke is that the 2 officers say, "Oh, you'll be flying in no time, Han Solo," and then you see him in this fighter crash, and he's crashing into the hangar. And then the other officer tells him when he's getting tried, he says, "Oh, we'll have you flying again in no time, Han Solo." And then he's flying through the air.
I do have one question.
Right, far away.
And this wasn't even really a question anyway. It's just something I was going to bring up, and I thought I'd best bring it up now before we get to the end. We've run out of time. Right. So, back in 2018,
Yeah.
when this came out, there, at least as far back in my memory, wasn't really many Star Wars spin-offs.
No.
Right?
We had Rogue One.
Yeah.
And we had this.
Yeah. Now, Rogue One was new people. We established that before. So it's completely new cast, completely new characters for the most part. Fine, cool. I'm a bit curious of why, when they've gone, okay, we're going to make a backstory for a person, why the first person they thought of was Han Solo.
Han Solo. Well, you would. You'd get Han Solo, of course you would. Princess Leia, leave her, you know. Obi-Wan Kenobi, prequels have done that.
Yeah.
Let's have Han Solo. Sounds great.
So, dude, I don't know. That was my one thing of, I don't even know if I really want to.
There are new characters in this. We have new characters in this. I just mentioned Dryden Voss. Tobias Beckett is in this. He's played by Woody Harrelson.
Yes.
We get Val and Rio Durant.
I just kind of like the whole mystery of Han Solo.
Right, Han's origins.
Yeah.
Even though they've been just told in legends to be roughly not the same, but roughly as.
Yeah, but I don't read Legends.
Oh right,
Yeah.
he was an Imperial cadet and he was a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
And he met Chewbacca through levels of insubordination. And
Yes. And
Chewbacca was a slave and freed him.
as we know from background characters, Bidlo Quirv.
Yeah, Vidlo Quirv.
Yeah.
Vidlo Quirv. The background characters can be anyone.
Yeah. Bidlo Quirv and Han Solo didn't get it. So unfortunately, no Bidlo Quirv.
No Bidlo Quirv in this film,
No.
unfortunately. We would like to see Bidlo. When's Bidlo Quirv? Bidlo Quirv, a Star Wars story. Coming soon. Disney Plus. Oh, yeah.
Great.
On Minban,
Yes.
he's fighting, which is appeared before, by the way. Minban was mentioned in Clone Wars.
Okay.
And the Minbanese are a famous rebellious army to the Imperials. They're fighting the Imperial ground troopers, the Imperial army, not the stormtroopers you'd find.
Okay.
Because you realise that stormtroopers are actually more of... They're supposed to be the elite corps. They're supposed to be the Imperial stormtrooper. They're supposed to be... They're not your run-of-the-mill soldiers, the stormtroopers. These guys, it's the Imperial Armoured Division, this sort of Imperial grunt ground units that are meant to be the force of the Imperial Army on most worlds, rather than just all stormtroopers all the time.
Yeah.
Because the Empire isn't just stormtroopers. And this film really showed that. The fact that the Empire isn't just made up of all these white helmeted troopers going around. There's actually people who are, mud troopers, guys who are, thick on the ground, and these sort of armoured, kind of very World War One-esque trench scenes. And I really like that in a Star Wars film. We need more of that in Star Wars, I think. Which is probably what we're going to get for Andor.
True, actually.
We'll get a lot of that very, war, dirty, boots on the ground, war feel of Andor.
When Andor comes out.
Andor comes out, September 21st. Yes. But it's there on Minban where Solo meets his crew. We've got Tobias Beckett, Woody Harrelson. What do you think?
Of Woody Harrelson or of Tobias Beckett?
Tobias Beckett.
Okay, I was going to say, 'cause I quite like Woody Harrelson.
Right, okay, quite like Woody Harrelson. Natural Born Killers.
Exactly.
Venom.
True.
You quite like him.
Any more? You got any more on you?
No, that's it.
Okay. Just them two films.
Yeah, just them two. Then his girlfriend Val is there, and Rio Durant, who's an Ardinian, which is a four-armed monkey man. You know who voices Rio?
No.
Jon Favreau, the showrunner of Mandalorian and Mandalorian Season 2 and all that, the architect of the great show that is The Mandalorian, and Happy Hogan in the MCU.
Okay. See, that's what I know him as.
Yeah, exactly.
As a guy who's not seen The Mandalorian.
No, someone who was... Actually, he is in Mandalorian. He voices Paz Vizsla, the big Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm going to nod and go, yep.
You don't see his face.
I know who that is, yep.
You know Paz Vizsla? Okay. Their plan, the plan of Tobias Beckett and his crew is to steal an AT hauler.
Yeah.
So they can do a train heist on Vandor.
Yes.
They managed to successfully steal the AT hauler out of the battlefield, but they need Solo's help to get it out.
Yeah.
So he tries to help them, but then they dob him in, and they say, "Hey, you're trying to leave. You're a traitor. You're trying to leave the army." They throw him over to the military, and the mud troopers take him and throw him in the pit with what they call the Beast.
Yes.
The Beast is Chewbacca. He's an angry Wookiee. He's a slave. He's having to fight down there, enslaved by the Empire. And then Han uses his skills in Shuriwook, which is the Wookiee language. He doesn't know much, but he manages to communicate that they can help each other to escape.
Is it explained at any point why he can at least pick up a little bit of language? Yeah.
Shuriwook. I think on Corellia is a very vast world. You learn a lot of things.
Okay.
You know, Corellia is one of those places where you can run into anybody. So it's not a far stretch of the imagination. He just says he doesn't know much. He knows a little to understand him.
That's true.
Maybe he's just conversational in Shuriwook. Maybe he's not fluent.
Has he been taught by another Wookiee then or something?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
You just pick things up every now and then. Chewbacca is down there in the pit.
Yep.
And do you know who plays Chewbacca? By Finnish basketball player Jonas Sotomo.
Yeah, I know who that is.
You don't know Finnish basketball player Jonas Sotomo?
Unfortunately not.
For the video version, we'll put a picture of it.
Who's he play for?
Finnish basketball player Jonas Sotomo. I don't quite know exactly. I may have to look that up. Are you typing his full title in?
Finnish basketball player. What was that called?
What's
the name?
It may be. It's JOONAS SUOTAMO.
There he is.
There he is.
He is best known for his role as Chewbacca. Yeah, no, who'd he play for?
Got him.
Who'd he play for?
Well, he went to Penn State, so. And he still plays Chewbacca to this day, because he played him in Rise of Skywalker and in The Last Jedi.
Correct.
Good on him. He seems like he seems like a nice, kind fellow. And if I won't. This isn't my weekly rec, but I will recommend the Wired autocomplete interview of him and Emilia Clarke, who also stars in this film as Kira, doing it together, and they are a barrel of laughs, both of them.
Could you imagine, right, being in America?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's Finnish,
No.
but I'd assume he'd be in America. I know exactly. But and like, yeah, okay, right. You know what? I'm gonna play college basketball,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe I'll, because obviously in America it's different to us. We play football, but you don't go like you don't go to uni. You do like a little side thing if you play sports here for like uni stuff. But if you go to college, you're playing a team to make it professional.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine like, I could get in the NFL, so I can get in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
I could play for the Chicago Bulls, or, Minnesota Timberwolves, and you end up as Chewbacca somehow. That's a weird.
Yes, very strange indeed.
I'm gonna go dunk some hoops, shoot some hoops.
Then be Chewbacca.
Yeah, I'm now a Wookiee. I am curious. I'm about to Google it, how George Lucas ended up with a basketball player.
I don't think it was George Lucas. I think it may have been Disney that did this.
Oh, okay.
Because Peter Mayhew played Chewbacca in 4, 5, and 6, and then episode 3 when Chewbacca appears. And he retired, bless his soul, rest in peace. But his body just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest. That's a big old suit.
Big old suit is a big ask as well, and I think his body was probably deteriorating.
Yeah.
Man. Peter Mayhew. But the heist takes place on Vandor, and it's a train heist.
Yep.
They have to get on the 20T Railcrawler Convex transport. That's what the train's called, if you didn't realise. And steal some coaxium. Coaxium is very powerful. Coaxium.
Yeah, it's because that's why we mentioned it last time.
Why? Oh yeah, the coaxium. Yeah, I mentioned coaxium.
Yeah.
And I said it's from Solo, and you said you didn't know.
Yes.
Coaxium is from Solo, correct? And they have to steal this big train carriage full of coaxium and carry it away using the AT hauler. But they're attacked by Empress Nest and her Cloud Riders. That's what they're called.
Nice.
A Cloud Rider group which also involves Weasel. Do you know Weasel?
What, I Am Weasel?
No, from episode 1. Episode 1 of Phantom Menace, there was a character in the pod race called Weasel sat with Watto. That is played by Warwick Davis. And Watto.
Oh,
and
okay.
Weasel is the same in this.
Yes,
He's the same character.
Sorry, I thought you meant an actual pod racer for a second.
No. He sat in the crowd next to Watto.
Yes.
Warwick Davis, with some hair on. And he's back in this as the same character, as a rebel with the Cloud Riders, which is a great little piece of continuity there. And it also includes Enfist's story of having a gang of people whose worlds were affected by the syndicates.
Yeah.
Of course, because Tatooine's ruled by the Hutts. So it makes sense that perhaps Weasel was oppressed by the Hutt clan and joined up with the rebels, which is again, a fantastic little piece of continuity there. And Memphis is really cool. I really like the sort of early startings of the rebels in these little sort of... They're seen as marauders and thieves, but they're actually a group of a resistance group.
Yeah, I mean, that is the one thing...
Against these crime syndicates.
When it comes to this film, it's the one thing that I guess is somewhat enjoyable. It's the kind of early start to everything, the little kind of... It's almost, to be fair, I almost prefer learning more about the less Han Solo and just more about everything else.
Yeah. Can we have... Where's our Empress Nest? More stuff for Empress Nest, please. Because it says her mother wore the mask before she did, so there was like 2 Empress Nests, which is pretty cool. She's appeared in comics and things like that. And Erin Kellyman is just doing amazing right now. She's quite hot right now. She's going to be in the Willow remake because they're bringing Warwick Davis back for that as well. So they'll be reunited in the new Willow show or film or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And Erin Kellyman was also in, I'm going to get this right, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. She played the, again, young girl who was another activist.
Yeah.
I don't want to say she's been typecast, but she seems like a nice girl. On Vandor, they run into some trouble from Memphis's gang.
Yeah.
And Rio and Val are killed. Val blows herself up on the bridge because she's being attacked by probe droids, and she has to destroy the bridge so they can get the carriage. Then they report back to Dryden on his yacht. It's called the First Light.
On his yacht?
His yacht? That's a space yacht.
Oh, okay.
You see his ship? It was the big sort of column in the sky.
I know that.
You know.
But
do you know what class of ship it is?
It is a yacht class.
No, it's a Noah class space yacht.
It's close.
They meet him on the First Light, and all of his retinue are there.
Yep.
So Dryden's very unhappy. They've lost him the coaxium, and he says, I don't want to send you out or any bounty hunters to get it. What I'm going to send you is I'm going to send you to go and get more coaxium, the same amount of coaxium that you lost in that heist. You're going to go to Kessel and get some.
That's
Kessel, famous for its spice mines.
That's a smart move, that is.
What?
You've lost it. I'm going to trust you again.
Trust you again to get more.
Yeah.
He says he doesn't give second chances very often.
Yeah, well.
Because Beckett's his man, so he says, well, you're going to do this for me again, and you're going to get it right. They arrive on Kessel.
Yep.
But no, they don't arrive on Kessel yet. They're heading to Kessel, but Kira says they need a pilot. They don't trust Han, despite the fact Han's, a capable pilot enough. He says they need another pilot.
Right.
So they go and they meet up with who? Lando Calrissian and his droid L337.
Correct.
Who's played by the very famous now Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is everywhere.
Yeah.
Americans love her, the British love her, the Oscars love her. Everyone loves Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Why did you go to 2 countries and then the Oscars?
I'm just saying. The Oscars do love her.
Sure.
They go down and get the Millennium Falcon. They get the ship, and there was some very obvious ADRing there because I'm going to guess it was ADR.
Yeah.
Because there was a big fan outcry. In fact, they changed how the Millennium Falcon looked, and because they put a thing in the front. They sort of sleeked it out, made it all blue. They covered all the holes up and made it look very, factory new. And I looked at that time and I was like, you know what? That's not bad. To say that the Millennium Falcon looks like that and say that's how it comes off the shelf.
I mean,
it did retcon. The problem is it was quite an obvious retcon because every other YT-1300 freighter looks like the Millennium Falcon does.
Yeah.
So they had to ADR it, and Lando said, "Oh, we've just modified it. I've just put this bit at the front."
I can see what they were going for, because obviously, I mean, Han's had that for years and years after we see it in the classic films with Harrison Ford. So obviously it would look different because presumably over the years it's
gone from several people. And
it's rusted or it's gotten old. It's probably been hit by a couple of asteroids or whatever.
Yeah. It's been scraped and scorched and all that.
So it would make sense for it to look newer, but maybe not. Yeah, back new.
Maybe not as new as it is in this film.
Yeah.
But it was under Lando. Lando's a capable pilot and a capable captain of the ship. His first mate, L337, has an amazing navigational database in her droid brain. And she's fighting for droid rights. She wants droids to be respected in the galaxy. Because let's be honest, they've always been treated as second-class citizens. This is after the Clone Wars.
Yeah, true.
So her plight is considerable.
Yes.
Because it's after the Clone Wars where the droids made up 100% of the enemy that people saw. It was droids and aliens. That's why droids and aliens are looked down upon in the Star Wars galaxy. Because after the Clone Wars, droids and aliens were treated as the aggressors because they were the separatists.
Yeah, true. She should have met a young Princess Leia. She was very much droid rights. Likes a bit of C-3PO.
Yeah, of course. C-3PO actually doesn't appear in this film.
No.
One of the rare instances where C-3PO isn't forced somehow into this film.
No.
L337 says, "Oh, I don't want to go to Kessel," but Lando's like, "I'm your captain. We're gonna come with me to Kessel."
Yeah.
So they fly all the way to Kessel, and it's very difficult to navigate because Kessel is, in sort of, I think it's in the Outer Rim. I'm gonna say that. I'm not sure though.
Oh, you're not sure.
I'm just gonna give that a little
Back
check.
yourself.
Back myself.
Yeah.
Now we're both looking up Kessel.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not. It is in the OuterRim. I was right.
Okay.
I was right. It is in the Outer Rim. I should doubt myself.
I was
is in the Outer Rim.
just checking because I didn't want to mention it.
It's on the slice.
Until I made sure. Obviously, we mentioned C-3PO is not in this film. Just googled it. Just a clarification. Anthony Daniels is still here.
Is he?
Yes.
Goodness.
I
You
think
can't get out. Can't escape him. Who is
I
he?
think he has a
He's not
cameo.
C-3PO.
I think yeah. Let me read this article
I think he's C-3PO. Right, you read. I'll talk about Kessel.
Yes.
Now, it's difficult to get to Kessel when you're flying by spaceship because it's in a maelstrom and you have to drop out of hyperspace outside the maelstrom, because if you hyperspace through the maelstrom, you can get caught in a gravity well or caught in what they call the Maw, which is this like black hole. You don't want to get stuck in that, or you're going to be going nowhere fast and you'll probably be dead. So what they had to do was hyperspace close to Kessel and then fly through the maelstrom, follow the buoys, these sort of buoys of light that float in space. Fly all the way through the maelstrom and then come out at Kessel. They do it in this film. They also do it in Clone Wars, in the last season of Star Wars, the Clone Wars. Ahsoka is with the Martinez sisters making a delivery of spice for this criminal gang, and they have to fly to Kessel as well, and they also have to go through the maelstrom.
I know who he is.
Who is he?
So, for anyone who's wondering why I'm Googling if Anthony Daniels is still in this, Anthony Daniels has been in like every single Star Wars film.
Yes, as C-3PO.
Yes. Except for, I think, Rogue One.
No, he's in Rogue One. C-3PO is in Rogue One. He's at the Yavin base and he has a line.
Oh, yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Scarif? Going to Scarif? No one tells me anything, R2.
So, he is in this. He plays a Wookiee.
Does he?
He is, according to this article, this is a quote here. Right.
I like to see Anthony Daniels doing his Wookiee impression.
Anthony Daniels is in a movie. In the Papillion-type offshoot story, the Wookiee that helps him escape, Chewbacca's best friend, is Anthony Daniels, and beckons him to join them as they escape on a different ship.
Right.
So he plays a Wookiee.
He plays probably the smaller Wookiee.
Probably.
Because there's that Wookiee woman as well, that Chewbacca...
I don't think he'd be the Wookiee woman. It could be the Wookiee woman.
It might be Chewbacca's wife and children from the holiday special.
Is that what it sounds like? I forgot.
No, that's what he sounds like.
I blocked that movie out of my head.
Itchy and Lumpy and Nala and the other one. And no, I think there is only three of them. Nala is his wife.
Yeah.
And Itchy is his grandfather. Or his father, his dad. I think he's Chewbacca's dad.
Yeah.
And Lumpy is his son. Who makes that weird gargle noise that I just did. He goes, like that.
Yeah, I have completely blacked that movie
Wipe that
out of my head.
But Kessel is run by the Pike Syndicate, which you should be familiar with. If you aren't familiar with the Pike Syndicate, I don't know who you are, because the Pikes have been somehow given really weird exposure in Star Wars recently. They were in the Clone Wars, and they appear in Solo. Quay Tolsite is the director of the Mines of Kessel. Then they turn up as probably the main antagonistic force, apart from Cad Bane and the Hutts, in the Book of Boba Fett. So the Pikes have been given quite a bit of exposure recently for a very minor and supporting role in an animated show.
Yep.
So they get on Kessel and they meet with the Pikes and they perform the heist. Things go wrong. People are shot. The droid L337's messed up by the laser fire. Lando has to go out and save them. Chewie gets to reunite with some Wookiee friends, and L337 causes a massive rebellion by the mines by setting all the droids free. The droids smash up the control room. And then everything's going to heck in a handbasket.
Yeah.
Oh, it turns out the free Wookiee slave, the woman, is called Sagwa.
Yes. Anthony Daniels plays Tak.
Tak, right.
Yes.
Okay. L3 speak to the WDD admin mech DDBD. That's its name. And frees him of his restraining bolt, which allows all the droids to be free. And also, I did laugh at that bit in the cinema where the gonk droid was stepping on the controls. Did you remember where he's jumping on the controls? He's only got 2 legs, but he's bouncing on the control panels.
Do you want to know what else I just found out about Anthony Daniels? In 1978, he played Legolas.
Did he?
Yeah.
In what?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, right. What line Lord of the Rings?
American animated fantasy film by Ralph Bakshi.
Oh, the Bakshi Lord of the Rings.
He's
That's
Legolas.
so weird. We should watch that sometime. We should watch the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings.
He's also in I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle.
Right.
As a priest.
Lando is doing his vlog or whatever. He's doing his
vlog.
He's doing the Calrissian Chronicles, the Adventures of Lando Calrissian on his hologram.
Whack it on YouTube or whatever they have in Star Wars universe.
Yeah. On the HoloNet is what they call it. Whack it on the HoloNet, Lando. It's the galaxy's favourite HoloNet transmission, the Calrissian Chronicles by Lando Calrissian. But they have to escape through the moor in the Falcon.
Yes.
They have to fly through because the Imperials arrive because they got word of the rebellion on Kessel and they sent the Star Destroyer, and all the TIE fighters are attacking, including the TIE Brute or the TIE B as it's called, which is like a TIE fighter, but it's got an extra pod on the side with the 2 laser cannons. So they have to fly through the maelstrom because they need to escape the Imperial blockade, but they can't get around it.
Yep.
So they have to go through the maelstrom, which is impossible to do. But of course, never tell me the odds Han Solo is ready to do it in less than 20 parsecs.
Yes.
Now, as we know, parsec is a unit of distance, not time.
Yes.
So that means that in order for it to be under 20 parsecs, they'd have to travel less distance to get out from Kessel.
Yeah.
Which means they have to do the Kessel run in less than 20. They have to do it in 14. Did he say less than 12? I think he said less than 12.
Yeah. Maybe.
Less than 12 parsecs. Yeah, he did. It was 12, sorry. I'm getting my numbers wrong. It's like a really famous quote, Corey. I'm losing my
Oh, it's such a famous Han Solo quote. Everyone's favourite.
Everyone loves the Kessel Run quote.
Yeah. Everyone's favourite Han Solo quote.
If you think Han Solo, I think of the Kessel Run.
Yeah.
Han takes the Falcon, and all of the TIE fighters go through the maelstrom as well. And he's doing the classic asteroid belt maneuver, swinging the whole ship around and knocking TIE fighters into walls and knocking TIE fighters into all kinds of debris going around the Akadezi maelstrom. And they're flying around as Tobias Beckett is manning the laser guns and gunning down those TIE fighters. They go through asteroids. They're slipping and sliding around the ship, which I think is fun. I think the amount of fun is when they're just bumping around the ship because the ship's moving at such speeds. And when they need to power the engine, right? And Beckett says, "I'll use the coaxium. I'll use a bit of the coaxium that we've taken because it's a really powerful hyperfuel. Because that's what they use it to. They refine it and it becomes hyperspace fuel, right? So Beckett says, "I'll refine it." So he gets his injector or whatever. He injects it in. He takes a bit out and he's running to the engines. And then the ship gets rocked by I don't know what. He bangs on something and he just face plants onto the floor and slides. I think that tickled me somewhat. He's running. He's like, whoa, and he slides down the floor. And then he has to get up and keep going. Physical comedy. I'll never not laugh at someone falling over. I just think it's really funny all the time. They have to get to Savareen. And to get to Savareen, this is where the climax of the film is.
Yep.
To get to Savareen...
Best part of the film.
Yeah, we get to Savareen from Kessel.
Finishes.
To actually refine the coaxium itself.
Yep.
They get to the station, and Lando, who's all busted up from the fight and from the flight, says, "I hate you, Han Solo. I'm never going to be your friend. I'm going to go and get a mining colony on Bespin." And then Han's like, "All right, I know. I hate you as well." And then Lando gets in his freighter, but then Memphis Nestor and her Marauders arrive. And he's like, "There's nowhere left to run, Beckett and Han Solo. I'm taking you in. I'm beating you up." But then Han does his great job of going, "Well, you see that freighter down there? I've got loads of men in that freighter. You're going to be surrounded, dude."
Yeah.
And then the Millennium Falcon just takes off and flies away.
Yeah.
Han just leaves with his ship without actually requesting his money, which he was asking for all the time.
Yes.
But he does later in the scene at the end of the film. He does end up asking for his money, but he doesn't get it. But should we talk about Sabak a bit? Because they do play at the end. We'll leave Sabak till later.
Okay.
because they still have to return. They still have to return to the First Light to Dryden's yacht to perform the bait and switch. Because this is like a heist movie. This is like a gangster movie.
Yeah, I guess so.
They do a couple of heists, and on the First Light, it's where Dryden thinks he has fake coaxium because they bring in the coaxium and they say, someone told me about your deal with Enfys Nest. You realise Enfys Nest is like a good person.
Yeah.
And that she's a rebel and she's trying to fight against me and the syndicates. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to capture you all, but using all my guards. So Dryden sends out his men and they capture who they think is Enfys. It's just an old woman in a helmet. Alright.
Keep going.
Capture an old woman in the helmet.
Yeah.
But then Enfys and all of her men turn up and Warwick Davis fires a rocket. Did you see that? Warwick Davis has a rocket launcher. They gun all his dudes down, and then they realise they don't have the coaxium. It's a fake. The boxes are empty. So they have the real coaxium.
It reminds me of back to what day was for a split second with rocket launcher.
Oh.
It reminds me of that one bit from, I think it's the Tchaikovsky Clone Wars, but I could be wrong.
Right.
There is Grievous is going down on the outside of an elevator.
Oh, and the clone
the
rocket launcher to the side area and blows up. Oh, yeah.
It's actually
That is that's Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. Yeah, you're right.
That's just what I had in my head.
That's the 2003 Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So there's another swindling. There's another double crossing.
Yep.
Beckett is the secret agent of Dryden Voss.
Yes.
He says, man, their buddy is up together, but then he ends up betraying Dryden because he says you should trust nobody, expect everyone to betray you, and you'll never be disappointed in them. So he guns down all the dudes, and he's like, right, I'm stealing with this coaxium, I'm going to sell it off, and you, Chewbacca, you'll come with me, you're coming to Tatooine. We're going to go to Tatooine together and shack up with Jabba.
Yeah.
Join Jabba the Hutt's crew on Tatooine. So they end up escaping, and the fight breaks out between Han, Dryden, and Kira. We talked about Kira a lot. I quite like Kira in this. She's a nice, level-headed character, nice, romantic foil for Han. She's got her own arc of joining Crimson Dawn, being sort of sold to Crimson Dawn. That happens in a comic. There's a comic that sort of bridges the two flashbacks.
Okay.
Flashback at the start of the film to the point of the film where we are at now. But resolves that like Kira was handed around through several sort of slave dealers, and it's she was tortured or horrible things before she was brought to Dryden, who probably treated her no better.
Yeah, probably not.
Really. Apart from teaching her how to fight and giving her a cool sword. She uses that cool sword to kill him. She captures his sort of knife between the sword, because the sword's got a slit in it.
Yes.
She captures the knife between the sword, spins it round, stabs Dryden in the chest, gets him.
Boom.
Dead. DED, dead.
Yes,
him on
gone.
the ground. And then she steals his fancy ring, his fancy communicator. Do you remember this part in the film? His fancy communicator ring that he wears it's got the Crimson Dawn logo on it.
Yeah.
And if you put it into the panel, it contacts somebody, his boss on the hologram. And who's his boss?
This is the one I'm going to get correct. It's Darth Maul.
Yes! People were so confused in the cinema when I was watching this. Because I watched this when it came out in the cinema. And I knew Darth Maul was alive.
Yes.
Because I'd watched the Clone Wars and I'd watched Rebels.
Yes.
And I knew where this was in the timeline.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Maul made the Shadow Collective, which is this group of gangsters using the Mandalorians and whatever. And he took control of Mandalore.
Yep.
And then he got ousted in the end of the Clone Wars because the Battle of Mandalore happened. And Ahsoka, got rid of him and then he escaped. And then he turned up on Malachor. This is between that time. So it makes sense that Maul would still be running a criminal enterprise.
Yes.
This is okay.
Yeah.
I understand. Cool bit of fan service. Ray Park's back. Sam Witwer's back. Let's go. However, everyone around me was like, Did he die? Did he die in 1999?
You see,
Everyone was so confused, and I think I was the only one that understood it. Not only did I understand it, I heard Sam Witwer's voice from his first line, and I knew immediately who it was because I saw the robot leg. And I heard Sam Witwer go, yes. And I was like, that's Sam Witwer, that's Darth Maul. And I'm like, that's Darth Maul all the time. And then when he takes off the hood and you hear him, I'm like, I was so, like, I was gyrating in the cinema because I was like, I'm so excited, Darth Maul.
So I knew, well, to be fair, I knew he was in it anyway because it's been like, 5 years, 4 years, whatever. Since
he's in it already.
At the time when it came out, because I got spoiled for that pretty quickly anyway, I knew he was alive, but I only, I think, recently found out that he survived. Because I remember going to my brother at one point, like, "Oh yeah, Darth Maul survived, bro." And he's like, "How?" I was like, "Yeah, he just survived. He's just angry.
He got robot
Got
legs.
robot legs."
Yeah. You watch the Clone Wars. This is why people should watch the Clone Wars. It's not hard.
Yeah.
People should watch the Clone Wars. It's got so much. This is why I always say watch the Clone Wars, because not only does it affect things now, and it's still affecting things now, but it's a really good piece of Star Wars media. It's an amazing piece of Star Wars media.
Yeah.
It's a great show. Anyway, it's a great show. Watch the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
If you're not doing anything, watch the Clone Wars, for goodness sake. So I get a bit too heated there, but Maul. You know, I love seeing Darth Maul.
Yeah.
I will never not tire of seeing Maul. He's great. And this is his live action, sort of debut since Phantom Menace. And it's Ray Park, the guy that played him in 1999. He's coming back as well. He bulked up for the role.
I was gonna say, I also seem to remember him being at probably Comic-Con or something.
Yeah.
And just flipping around everywhere.
Yeah. Did you see that video when he got the double-bladed lightsaber?
Yeah.
He's going spinning around, flipping around everywhere. He's still got the moves. He's still got the grooves. He could probably turn up and be Darth Maul tomorrow if you asked him.
I would hope so.
And he'd love it. He loves going to conventions, and he's made a fortune off this role. So
It's only appeared.
the role he had
Not
about
many.
5 lines.
Yeah.
And did nothing but look cool and fight cool. Which,
Yeah.
to be honest, he does really, really well. Get Darth Maul. Get him back in something. Get him back in something, please. In Andor, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's the team of Sam Witwer as well who voiced him in Clone Wars. It's Sam
Yes.
Witwer voicing Ray Park, which is just the best collaboration. It's the best collaboration for this character. It's also a nice little cap on his story, because we know what happens to him after this.
True.
We know he goes to Malachor to
Yeah.
find the Sith Temple, and we know he ends up on Tatooine, and we know he gets killed by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Correct.
Then after wrapping up the film now,
Yes.
after Kira decides to leave Han Solo, her love of her life, a bit of the red-horned man, because wouldn't you? He pops out his lightsaber. He says, "All right, bring the ship to me, Kira. We'll work together." I'm like, you know what? I'm on Team Maul.
Yeah.
I'm on Team Maul.
Yeah. Give me a double lightsaber and I'm all yours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Any day, all day long. Han ends up confronting Tobias Beckett. He's like,
Yes.
"You've got the coaxium," and Tobias is like, "I'm gonna teach you one more lesson, kid. This is the most important lesson ever." Then he gets shot in the chest and falls down.
Yes.
Because Han Solo shoots first.
Yep. There's another reference for you.
The reference to the great infamous Greedo shootout. Han breaking his neck in the special edition to dodge the laser blast. Because Han apparently would only shoot in retaliation, and Han isn't, a cold-blooded smuggler who would take the shot when someone's aiming a gun at him.
Yeah.
Apparently George Lucas thinks he wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well.
He would.
He would.
He just shot.
Yes.
He just shot Beckett.
Yeah.
So, which you would do.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to let him get away. He betrays you, betrays your trust. Tries to kill your friends. You're gonna shoot him. Of course you are. Don't let him get away.
Exactly.
And that's what Han would do.
Yes.
Which almost, arguably, retcons New Hope. In a weird way. Because why did Han wait to shoot Greedo?
Yeah.
Until Greedo shot him. As they shot at the same time or something. And
maybe.
Greedo said McClunky.
True.
And then Han sort of CGI snaps his neck to the side and dodges the laser blast to shoot him back. When Han had his gun ready under the table.
It's...
And in every other edition, because when the New Hope gets re-editioned by other people, fan edits and stuff, that scene is always Han just shoots him anyway.
Yes.
And Greedo never gets a shot off. Because Greedo's a dumb bounty hunter and Han's a smart man.
Yeah. I mean...
It makes every level of sense. George Lucas is an amazing man with a wonderful mind. And he's created a great world which I love to this day and I will probably always love for the rest of my life. And I adore Star Wars, but this is I'm sorry, George. I cannot agree with this special edition change on this one. Why doesn't Han just shoot him?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Han just shoot Greedo? Greedo's got a gun on him. Just do it.
Yeah.
In the words of Palpatine,
Yes.
just do it.
Yes.
Do it. And the film ends with them reuniting on the Medium Prime, not Felucia like I thought it was. It was in the Medium Prime. Orlando's playing a card game, and Han sneaks up on him, manages to win the Falcon by playing Sabak, the card game which appeared earlier in the film. And that's Solo, a Star Wars story.
Yeah. It's done.
What a ride.
It's done.
Did you have a real rating prepared?
Yes.
We could go on about this film. I think there's a lot of lore in this film, and a lot of things turn up, a lot of great little ideas. I really love the design of those range troopers from Corellia. And sorry, it was the patrol troopers. The range troopers were on the train on Vandor.
Yeah.
The sort of snow trooper type hybrids, really like them. Enfys Nest, another amazing addition. Her whole story with her Cloud Riders and the sort of early startings of the rebellion. I really like Maul. Again, talked about how much I love Maul.
True.
Dryden Voss is a good addition as well. He's appeared in the Clone Wars. A hologram of him has appeared in the Clone Wars. And he may be appearing in Bad Batch Season 2, so I've heard.
Yeah.
Beckett, I don't think we'll see much more from, but if Donald Glover wants to play Lando, then sure thing. If he's up for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the film's alright. It wasn't great.
Right, your real rating?
About 6.
6.
Maybe a 5.5.
I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit harsh. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
It's not close to a Rogue One 10.
Yeah.
But it will get a 7.
Okay.
Ron Howard does a good job of directing. I feel like. Do you know about the Lord and Miller version, or would this be? I mean, this might require another episode.
Yeah, no, I don't.
This film was heavily chopped up in the edit.
Of course, it was.
It was reshot. It was redone. Things were reacted. People were recast. Things were changed up the wazoo. Because originally it was done by Philip Lord and Christopher Miller, who were credited as executive producers on this film. If you noticed, it was originally their film, and they were going to make it more of a comedy, on almost like a Deadpool style kind of self-aware Star Wars comedy, which would have been weird and nothing we've ever had before. But then Ron Howard was sort of brought back to do the studio vision when Lord and Miller were kind of kicked out by Kathleen Kennedy.
I mean, I don't know.
The creative decisions didn't line up for what they wanted this film to be, and there was clash.
Yeah, I mean that happens
Which
often.
On film, often, yeah, off fun films often, especially films of this caliber.
Exactly.
Often. So things were changed. And things which were there was different stuff that was changed up. Just one example was not only was Dryden Voss going to be played by a different person, he was also going to be a Lasat, which was a kind of sort of a wolf gorilla type alien.
Yeah.
And they changed him into being just Paul Bettany with lines on his face. However, the weekly rec for this week
is yours.
It is mine. It's not a film.
Okay.
It's not like you may be expecting an episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Yep.
It's not that. It's a picture.
Okay.
Series of pictures. Did you know that originally, writer-director George Lucas, you may have heard of him, he created Star Wars, and one of my personal heroes. Writer-director George Lucas, when creating Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, in 2005, he in fact envisioned a young Han Solo in that film. On Kashyyyk, with Chewbacca. Concept art exists. That's what my weekly rec is. I want you to find that concept art. Literally just search up. Start right now, Corey, on your Google, if you don't mind. Search Star Wars Episode 3 Han Solo. Go to Google Images and tell me what you see. Should be a couple of pieces of concept art there from Episode 3.
Oh, wait a minute. There we go.
There's a wonderful article by Den of Geek as well that really
that's the one I'm on.
Yeah, that really describes his role and what it was meant to be, and the events of a 10-year-old Han Solo on Kashyyyk.
I mean, it makes sense.
From Revenge of the Sith, and he actually would have helped Yoda in locating General Grievous and the droid fleet that was about to attack Kashyyyk, because he only had one line. Han Solo was written into the film. He had one line. It was, I found part of a transmitter droid near the East Bay. I think it's still sending and receiving signals. He was just meant to be a boy.
Yeah.
Tatooine, that was Han Solo. And, sorry, not Tatooine, Kashyyyk. Then Yoda would reply, good. Track this weekend back to the source. Find General Grievous. We might. Yoda would respond. And then there'll probably be like a star wipe.
Yeah.
Or a circle, or, an eye match or something. Cutting to the next scene. But yeah, Han Solo was going to be in Episode 3, and he was cut. Episode 3 could have been 7 or 8 hours long. There's so much stuff on the cutting room floor of that film that we may need to dedicate an episode to it at some point down the line. But that is my weekly rec. Find
Okay.
that concept art. I'll recommend this article, shall I?
Yep.
This Den of Geek article. It's called Star Wars: The Han Solo Episode 3 Cameo That Never Was by Ryan Lambie, which was written May 24th, 2018. So the year that Solo came out, which I feel like is very fitting.
Yep.
And I'll give this article another 7.
Fair enough.
Why not? Even though I don't think putting Han in Episode 3 was a very good idea, I'm sure the article was very well written and very informative. So there you are. Read that article. And we hope to enjoy this very loose, creative review of Solo Star Wars Story. We'll be back at you next week.
Correct.
With our weekly film and review pop culture content. Hope you enjoy, folks. It's goodbye from me, goodbye, and a goodbye from Corey.
Goodbye.